The sleek scout ship, Zulrith, glided silently through the black expanse of space, its polished silver hull reflecting distant stars. Captain Varrock stood rigid at the command console, his forearms poised over the controls. His eye stalks twitched, scanning the various readouts on the holoscreen before him. The planet ahead, designated T-33 Delta, hung in the void like a blue marble, spinning lazily on its axis. Approaching the outer atmosphere of the primitive world, Lieutenant Exhara announced from her station, her voice calm, as usual. This planet, known to its inhabitants as Earth, was nothing special at least. That's what their data banks suggested. The mission was simple: scan for resources, catalog any interesting phenomena, and return to the fleet. It was standard procedure for every new planetary body encountered by the Ryzaen Exploration Corps. Varrock felt a pulse of anticipation. His species had conquered half the galaxy, encountering thousands of worlds and civilizations, and this one would likely be no different. Still, there was a strange allure to the uncharted, a sense of mystery that tickled the edges of his disciplined mind. "Entering the atmosphere now," Exhara reported as the ship gently descended into Earth's gravitational pull. The moment they breached the first layer of the planet's atmosphere, a strange sensation flickered through Varrock's chest. It was faint at first, a tingling, then a warmth spreading through his limbs. His eye stalks twitched involuntarily, the control screen becoming a blur of color and light. He blinked, trying to refocus, but the sensation only grew stronger. "Is anyone else feeling something unusual?" Varrock asked, his voice carrying a note of uncertainty. Exhara turned her eye stalks toward him, and for a moment she stared, her expression unreadable. Then her mandibles twitched in what looked like confusion. "Captain, I feel strange," she admitted, her voice unsteady. "I'm experiencing something sensory overload." A low murmur of agreement swept across the bridge as the other crew members shifted uneasily in their seats. Varrock's vision swam again, but this time it wasn't just blurring. Colors exploded in front of him, brighter and more vivid than any he'd seen before. The deep greens of the control panel turned a burning crimson, and the normally cold, sterile air around him seemed to pulse with energy. Suddenly, the ship's hum sounded louder, like a melody resonating deep within his brain. No, not just a melody, a symphony, each sound merging with his very thoughts. He shook his head violently, trying to clear it, but the hallucinations only grew stronger. His limbs felt light, detached, as if floating outside his body. "We must retreat," Varrock barked, struggling to maintain his grip on reality. "There's something wrong with this planet." But Exhara didn't respond. Her entire body had gone still, her eyes wide and dilated. She stared blankly ahead, as if seeing something far beyond the ship, beyond the planet, beyond the galaxy. Varrock's heart hammered in his chest as a wave of unfamiliar emotions, fear, awe, joy crashed over him like a tidal wave. Something in Earth's atmosphere was doing this, something they had never encountered before, and it was already too late to turn back. The Milky Way galaxy was a vast network of interconnected species, planets, and star systems, bound together by the delicate threads of diplomacy, trade, and, when necessary, military might. For eons, the galactic community had thrived under the governance of the Zorathian Assembly, a collective of the galaxy's most advanced and ancient civilizations. The Assembly, though bureaucratic, was the stabilizing force that kept galactic affairs in order, settling disputes and facilitating the expansion of trade routes across the spiral arms. The galaxy was diverse beyond imagination, with alien species ranging from gas-based life forms like the Nivorans, who existed in the swirling gaseous belts of supergiant planets, to the technologically sophisticated Calanthians, whose crystalline forms could manipulate electromagnetic fields. There were species that lived in the vacuum of space, like the Arvak, massive organisms who drifted between stars feeding on cosmic dust. Then there were the more familiar, humanoid races such as the Ryzaens, who resembled giant insects with intricate social hierarchies, and the Solothians, amphibious beings from water worlds whose cultural philosophies were as deep as their oceans. Each species had its place in the galactic tapestry, contributing to the technological, cultural, or philosophical growth of the greater community. Through the discovery of faster-than-light travel and the establishment of interstellar trade routes, the galaxy had become a thriving, interconnected network where resources, knowledge, and goods flowed seamlessly between thousands of star systems. In contrast to the towering empires of the Ryzaens or the philosophical influence of the Solothians, humanity was, by all galactic standards, insignificant. Earth, or T-33 Delta as it was known in galactic nomenclature, was a small, unremarkable planet orbiting an average star in the outer rim of the galaxy. The species inhabiting the planet humans were primitive by galactic standards. Their technological progress was embarrassingly slow, and their understanding of the cosmos was laughably limited. To the galactic community, humans were a backwater species, confined to their home planet and completely unaware of the bustling galaxy beyond. Most civilizations that encountered Earth dismissed it entirely, deeming it not worth the effort to initiate contact. Some races, like the Nazari, who were responsible for cataloging new planets, didn't even bother with Earth beyond routine scans. Humans had only barely scratched the surface of space exploration, sending rudimentary probes into their solar system and achieving short-distance travel to their neighboring moon. In contrast, galactic civilizations had mastered wormhole travel, bending the very fabric of space-time to hop between distant galaxies in the blink of an eye. The prevailing attitude among the assembly was that Earth and its inhabitants posed no threat. There was nothing on Earth that interested the galaxy, no valuable minerals, no unique technology, and no strategic importance. Most species simply saw it as an obscure, primitive world, not worth the time or effort of exploration. However, what the galaxy didn't know, what no one had realized until that fateful day, was that Earth harbored a resource unlike anything the galaxy had ever encountered: its atmosphere. From the day of its formation, Earth's atmosphere had been quietly evolving into something unique, though no one human or alien had any inkling of its true nature. To humans, it was the invisible shield that sustained life, providing oxygen, regulating climate, and protecting the planet from the harshness of space. To aliens, it was just another mix of gases, not worth their attention. Yet Earth's atmosphere was far from ordinary. Over millions of years, a complex interplay of factors had given rise to a phenomenon that was so rare it didn't exist anywhere else in the galaxy. A combination of biological, chemical, and cosmic interactions had created an atmosphere whose exact molecular composition triggered potent psychoactive effects on most alien species. To humans, it was harmless. To many alien races, it was something akin to the strongest hallucinogen in existence. But the uniqueness of Earth's atmosphere had gone unnoticed by the wider galaxy, simply because no one had bothered to explore it in detail. Earth's isolation in the cosmic wilderness and the lack of any prior interest from the Zerothian assembly had kept its atmosphere a secret from the stars. Until now. Despite their low status, humanity had always been a subject of occasional curiosity for the younger, less advanced races of the galaxy. Stories circulated about humans' irrational behavior, their violent history, and their propensity for self-destruction. To the more advanced species, these traits were considered primitive, if not dangerous. Yet even with their destructive tendencies, humans were not seen as a threat. They lacked the technology and understanding to venture beyond their solar system, let alone influence galactic affairs. What made humans somewhat notable, however, was their odd resilience. Despite being a relatively weak and fragile species, they had survived countless natural disasters, self-inflicted wars, and environmental catastrophes. Even though they lacked the genetic advantages of species like the Solothians, who could regenerate limbs, or the Ryzaens, whose chitinous exoskeletons made them nearly impervious to harm, humans endured. There was something in their biology, their psychology even, that gave them an edge. It wasn't physical strength or intellect. It was their adaptability and their refusal to surrender, even in the face of overwhelming odds. While no species in the galaxy feared them, there was an unspoken acknowledgement that humans were persistent. Many species assumed that if humanity somehow avoided destroying itself, it might eventually earn a place in the galactic community if only as a footnote in the annals of history. Occasionally, stories about Earth circulated in galactic taverns or between explorers. The tales were often exaggerated, depicting humans as bizarre, reckless creatures that enjoyed risky behavior and extreme sports, like launching themselves into space or exploring dangerous environments without proper precautions. Some alien traders would swap strange rumors about Earth's peculiarities, often laughing at the idea of a world so unsophisticated. There were stories, of course, that painted humans in a different light, ones told by traders or diplomats who had intercepted Earth's radio broadcast or stumbled across their primitive internet. These stories portrayed humans as dreamers, artists, and innovators, creating impressive art and culture despite their technological limitations. Still, no one took these stories seriously. The galactic elite dismissed Earth as a curiosity at best, a potential problem at worst, and mostly a non-entity. The planet was nothing more than a cosmic backwater, not worth the time it would take to send a delegation. But now that Earth's atmosphere had been discovered, all that was about to change. The incident with the Ryzaen scout ship was the first time Earth's atmosphere had come into contact with alien life in a way that couldn't be ignored. The immediate effects on the scout crew had left them incapacitated and, in some cases, borderline euphoric. The ship's emergency transmission had been garbled, but one thing was clear: something on Earth was affecting them in ways they couldn't explain. It wasn't long before the Zerothian assembly received reports of the incident, and alarm bells started ringing across the galaxy. The idea that an ordinary planet like Earth could harbor something so potent, so dangerous, sent shockwaves through the scientific and military communities. Initial scans of Earth's atmosphere revealed its composition was unlike any other known planet in the galaxy. The precise combination of gases, atmospheric pressure, and environmental factors created a cocktail that triggered intense hallucinations in species that weren't accustomed to it. To some species, the effects were mild, just a slight dizziness or euphoria. But to others, like the Ryzaens, it was a full-blown sensory overload that led to incapacitation or even death in extreme cases. Worse yet, it appeared that Earth's atmosphere had an addictive quality. Aliens exposed to it reported an overwhelming desire to return, to experience the sensations again. It was as if Earth had become the galaxy's most potent drug, its air a substance of immense power. As the realization of Earth's significance spread, the galaxy's attitude toward humanity began to shift. No longer were humans just a primitive species on a distant planet. They were now the custodians of a resource that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. The Zerothian assembly, previously indifferent to Earth, now faced a crucial decision. Should they quarantine the planet and keep its atmosphere a secret, or try to exploit this new resource for their own gain? For the first time in history, humanity was no longer an afterthought in galactic affairs. Earth had become a key player, whether humanity realized it or not. And soon, the galaxy would come knocking. Dr. Elena Vargas peered intently at the monitor in front of her, the soft blue glow from the screen her tired face. For days, she and her team at the International Space Observation Network (ISIN) had been tracking unusual anomalies in Earth's upper atmosphere. Initially, they had written it off as the usual cosmic interference, asteroid debris, solar flares, or gravitational waves distorting their satellite readings. But this was different. The anomalies were consistent, deliberate, and, most alarmingly, localized. Something was out there, hovering just beyond Earth's orbit, skimming the very edge of their atmosphere. The data showed energy signatures that were unlike anything humanity had ever recorded. The signals were too organized to be natural. The longer she studied them, the clearer it became: they were not from Earth. "Elena, you've been staring at that thing for hours," said Lieutenant Commander Greg Anderson, stepping into the dimly lit room. Anderson, a tall, rugged man with military precision etched into his every move, was the liaison between ISIN and the United Nations Defense Initiative (UNDI), the international military body responsible for global security. His tone was half-joking, but there was a seriousness in his eyes that told her he knew the situation was no laughing matter. "Because there's something out there, Greg," Vargas replied without looking up. "And it's getting closer." She tapped a few keys on the console, pulling up a detailed scan of the object's trajectory. It was unmistakable, whatever it was had entered Earth's atmosphere. As her eyes narrowed on the data, her heart began to race. Could this be it? Actual proof of extraterrestrial life. Humanity in the 22nd century was a far cry from the fractured, chaotic species it had been a few hundred years ago. The Great Reformation had unified the major powers after decades of resource wars and environmental collapse, leading to the creation of the Earth Union, a global government dedicated to ensuring the survival of humanity. Under the guidance of the Earth Union, technology had advanced rapidly, and space exploration was a top priority. But despite significant progress, humanity was still tethered to Earth. They had reached Mars, established colonies on the Moon, and sent probes into the far reaches of the solar system. But interstellar travel remained elusive. The dream of finding intelligent life elsewhere in the galaxy persisted, though many had grown cynical over the centuries. The search for extraterrestrial intelligence SETI programs had been running for generations, but they had returned nothing but radio silence. That silence was about to be broken. On Earth, tensions between nations had diminished, replaced by a fragile but functional global alliance. However, old rivalries and political games still lingered beneath the surface. The Earth Union was the product of compromise, and while peace was maintained through diplomacy, the Global Council, Earth's ruling body, was a delicate balance of power between regions. Every major decision was met with fierce debate, and with limited resources, priorities often shifted unpredictably. For humanity, it was a time of cautious optimism, a period of rebuilding and recovery after the devastation of past wars. Climate crises had been mitigated through the invention of geoengineering technologies, and humanity had finally begun to repair the damage done to the environment. Yet, despite all their progress, humans remained bound to the fragile blue sphere they called home. Vargas leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. She had been in this field long enough to know what this meant. This was first contact. The implications of an alien presence so close to Earth sent a ripple of excitement and fear through her. Her first instinct was to notify the global authorities, but she hesitated. What would the military do with this information? Would they act rashly, assuming the worst? "We need to inform the Council," Anderson said, reading her thoughts. "This isn't just an anomaly anymore. This is contact." "I know," Vargas replied. "But we don't know anything about their intentions yet. We don't even know what they look like or why they're here. What if they're peaceful? We could be walking into a war we don't need." Anderson's jaw tightened. "That's not a call we get to make, Elena. You know that." Elena sighed and nodded. "Get me a secure line to the Global Council." As the report of the alien presence reached the highest levels of Earth's government, the Global Council quickly convened an emergency session. Comprising leaders from every major region on Earth, the Council represented the different interests, ideologies, and priorities of humanity. In the center of it all was Ambassador Adrian Cole, the head of the Earth Union's diplomatic corps. A seasoned negotiator with a reputation for being calm under pressure, Cole had mediated some of the planet's most delicate peace treaties. Now, he was tasked with leading Earth's response to what could be the most important moment in human history. Standing before the Council in the Grand Hall of the Union Tower, Cole exuded confidence, though the weight of the situation was clearly bearing down on him. "We've received confirmation from Ryzaen that an extraterrestrial craft has entered Earth's atmosphere," Cole began, his voice measured and steady. "As of now, we do not know their intentions, nor do we have any direct communication. We must approach this situation with caution." The room was silent for a moment before General Jonathan Wells, the head of UNDI's Strategic Command, spoke up. A tall, imposing figure with a background in space defense, Wells was not known for his patience. "We can't afford to assume they're friendly, Cole. I've already put Earth's defense grid on high alert. If they make any hostile moves, we'll be ready to neutralize the threat." Cole turned to face the general, his expression unflinching. "And if they're not hostile, if this is a peaceful mission, do we really want our first interaction with another species to be one of violence? Wells crossed his arms, his brow furrowing. "We can't take that risk. Earth's security is my priority. I won't let anything jeopardize that." Seated across from them was Dr. Lydia Wu, the lead scientist on the Council's advisory board. A brilliant physicist and xenobiologist, Wu had dedicated her career to the search for extraterrestrial life. She had long advocated for peaceful exploration and communication, believing that contact with an alien species would open the doors to unprecedented technological and cultural exchange. "We have to consider the scientific value of this encounter," Wu said, leaning forward. "If these beings are capable of interstellar travel, then they're far more advanced than we are. We could learn so much from them about the universe, about life beyond Earth. This could be humanity's greatest opportunity." The debate between the council members raged on, with the diplomatic, military, and scientific factions pulling in different directions. Some argued that humanity should immediately prepare for the worst, while others pushed for a more measured, diplomatic approach. In the midst of it all, Elena Vargas, now seated in the observation room, watched the unfolding drama with a sense of growing unease. Her eyes drifted back to the data from the alien ship, still displayed on her tablet. Something was bothering her. The anomalies in the atmosphere readings were more than just the ship's entry. There was an inconsistency she couldn't quite place. She made a mental note to investigate further, though her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden alert on her screen. The alien ship had landed. Elena's hand shook as she stared at the readout. The alien ship, larger than any craft humanity had ever conceived, had descended rapidly, cutting through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. It had landed in a remote region, far from any major population centers, but the location was too close for comfort. A ripple of panic swept through the room as news of the landing reached the council. General Wells immediately dispatched a fleet of undied drones to monitor the area from a safe distance, though he itched to send ground forces as well. But Ambassador Cole and Dr. Wu urged caution. "They haven't attacked," Wu pointed out. "We still don't know what they want." "They don't need to attack. Just being here could be a threat," Wells retorted. "Our defenses need to be prepared." Elena remained silent as the debate continued, her mind racing. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to this. Why had they chosen Earth? Why now? And more importantly, why here? As the military, scientists, and diplomats scrambled to respond, Earth's fate hung in the balance. Humanity had never faced a challenge like this, an encounter that could reshape their future or lead to their destruction. Dr. Vargas, General Anderson, and Ambassador Cole would each play a crucial role in determining how the situation unfolded. For now, Earth was unified in uncertainty. But in the back of Elena's mind, one thought lingered: what did they know about Earth's atmosphere that humanity didn't? The alien ship descended faster than anticipated, plummeting toward Earth like a meteor. Its sleek, silver hull was marred by pulsating distortions, a sign of the crew's struggles to keep the craft stable. From her station at Ryzaen headquarters, Dr. Elena Vargas watched the trajectory on her screen with mounting dread. The readings were growing more erratic by the second. "They're not just landing, Greg," she said, turning to Lieutenant Commander Anderson. "They're crashing." Anderson frowned, his fingers tightening around the edge of the table. "Are we sure they're in control at all?" Elena shook her head, worry creeping into her voice. "I don't think so. The anomalies in the atmosphere, it's affecting them. Badly." The alien ship broke through the clouds, its enormous structure casting a shadow over the remote plains of Kazakhstan. Military drones, deployed by Undai, hovered nearby, broadcasting the event live to both the Global Council and Earth's top military command. The tension in the observation room was palpable. As the craft neared the ground, its propulsion system sputtered, throwing up dirt and debris in a desperate attempt to slow the descent. But it wasn't enough. The ship hit the ground with a heavy thud, sliding across the landscape before coming to a halt. For several long moments, nothing moved. "Impact confirmed," one of the operators reported. No signs of further movement. Elena exchanged a glance with Anderson, who was already speaking into his calm, updating General Wells. Within minutes, a convoy of reconnaissance vehicles, led by a mixed team of military personnel and scientific experts, was on its way to the crash site. Elena and Anderson rode in one of the lead vehicles, the rumble of the engines vibrating through the cabin. The decision to include her on the first contact team had been a difficult one. But as the lead scientist on the anomaly, her expertise was deemed essential. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to go very wrong. "You ready for this?" Anderson asked, his eyes fixed on the horizon where the alien ship lay in the distance. "No," Elena replied honestly, "but I don't think any of us are." As they neared the crash site, the massive alien vessel came into full view, its surface reflecting the faint glow of the setting sun. It looked damaged, but not critically so. Scorch marks and dents marred the outer shell, and faint plumes of smoke rose from its underbelly. The convoy came to a stop, and Elena's heart raced as she stepped out of the vehicle, her boots crunching on the dry grass. Armed soldiers formed a perimeter, their eyes scanning the ship for any sign of movement. A team of scientists fanned out behind her, ready to document the momentous event. "Let's keep this careful and professional," Anderson ordered, moving forward with a rifle slung over his shoulder. "We don't know what we're dealing with." Elena approached cautiously, her tablet in hand, scanning the ship for signs of energy output. She could see the faint pulses of power still active within, but something was wrong. The signals were unstable, erratic. Whatever was happening inside that ship, the crew wasn't in control of it. Suddenly, the ship's hull shifted. A large panel on its side retracted with a soft hiss, revealing an opening that emitted a strange, shimmering light. The soldiers tensed, weapons raised, while Elena's eyes widened in a mixture of awe and terror. "Hold your fire," Anderson shouted, his voice carrying over the wind. "We don't want to escalate this." Out of the ship stepped the first alien, tall, slender, with pale, iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Its elongated limbs and 3 eyes marked it as something entirely foreign. Behind it, more figures emerged, their movements slow and disoriented. Elena's breath caught in her throat. This was it. First contact with extraterrestrial life. And yet, something was off. The aliens' gait was uneven, their eyes wide and unfocused. Their heads jerked from side to side as if they were seeing things that weren't there. "They're affected," Elena whispered, her voice trembling with realization. "The atmosphere, it's disorienting them." One of the aliens stumbled forward, raising a hand as if to communicate. But before anyone could react, the alien let out a sharp, unnatural sound, a cry that was both a plea and a warning. Its body twitched, and in a swift, erratic movement, it reached for its waist. "No sudden movements," Anderson barked, stepping forward with his hands raised in a show of peace. But the soldiers, already on edge, misinterpreted the alien's erratic behavior. A nervous finger twitched on a trigger, and a single shot rang out, the crack of gunfire splitting the air. The alien recoiled, a pale blue fluid oozing from a wound in its side. The other aliens let out panicked cries, their movements becoming frenzied as they tried to retreat. The humans backed away as well, the situation spiraling out of control in mere seconds. "Cease fire! Cease fire!" Anderson shouted, rushing forward to stop the escalation. Elena stood frozen, her mind racing. This was exactly what she had feared, an innocent gesture mistaken for hostility. The aliens weren't attacking, they were hallucinating. The atmosphere was driving them into a frenzy, and now both sides were on the verge of catastrophe. The situation devolved quickly. The aliens, clearly in distress, started moving erratically, their hands clawing at their heads as if trying to rid themselves of invisible torment. Their speech, unintelligible to the humans, was laced with frantic tones, creating an eerie soundscape of desperation. Anderson rushed to Elena's side. "We need to pull back. They're not thinking straight, they're hallucinating. If this keeps up, it's going to turn into a full-blown conflict." Elena, her heart pounding, nodded. "We have to find a way to communicate. They're not trying to attack, they're confused." But communication seemed impossible. The alien commander, if that's what it was, staggered forward, arms flailing as if swatting at unseen threats. Its eyes were wild, pupils dilated, as it let out a guttural scream that sent a shiver down Elena's spine. Before Anderson could give the order to retreat, one of the aliens raised its arm, and a pulse of energy shot out, not aimed at the humans, but at the ground between them. It was a warning. They wanted to be left alone. Anderson raised his voice over the rising tension. "Everyone back, now." The humans slowly retreated, weapons still raised, while the aliens scrambled back toward their ship, the effects of Earth's atmosphere still wreaking havoc on their minds. As Elena stepped backward, her gaze locked on the alien commander, she knew one thing for certain: this was just the beginning. First contact had been made, but it hadn't gone as anyone had hoped. Misunderstandings had already sown the seeds of conflict, and the effects of Earth's atmosphere had turned a delicate situation into a volatile one. As the team regrouped at a safe distance, Elena could only wonder what would happen next. Would the aliens recover? Would they view humanity as a threat? And, most importantly, would they ever realize the full extent of what Earth's atmosphere could do? The air between the two worlds was thick with tension, and one wrong move could ignite a galactic firestorm. Dr. Elena Vargas sat in the mobile lab, her eyes glued to the array of data streaming in from the crash site. The tension from the initial encounter had subsided, but her mind raced with the implications of what she had witnessed. Outside, soldiers stood guard around the perimeter, keeping a wary eye on the alien ship. But inside the lab, the focus had shifted from security to science. Elena's hands moved swiftly across her tablet as she scanned the readings from the environment around the ship. The data was clear. Earth's atmosphere was having a profound effect on the aliens. Their biochemistry, their neurological functions, it was all being thrown into chaos. She had expected them to have some difficulty adjusting to the atmosphere, but this was on a whole different level. "Commander, you need to see this," she called to Anderson, who was speaking with a group of soldiers outside. He hurried over, his military posture stiff and controlled, but his eyes were filled with curiosity. "What have you got?" he asked, looking over her shoulder at the screen. Elena tapped the display, pulling up the most recent scans of the alien physiology. "These are the brain activity readings we managed to gather when we approached them. Their neurological systems are completely overwhelmed. Earth's atmosphere is causing some kind of hallucinogenic reaction, and I think it's intensifying the longer they're exposed." Anderson frowned, leaning in closer. "Hallucinations, that would explain their behavior. But why? What about our atmosphere would do this?" Elena shook her head, clearly still puzzled herself. "I'm not sure yet. Their bodies are completely foreign to us, different cellular structures, different metabolic processes. But it seems like some component of our air, something harmless to us, is acting like a powerful hallucinogen to them. It's like their minds are being overloaded, bombarded with stimuli they can't process." "Can we reverse it?" Anderson asked. "I don't know yet," she admitted, frustration creeping into her voice. "We need more time to study them, but, given how they're reacting, it won't be easy to get them to cooperate." Anderson nodded slowly, absorbing the gravity of the situation. "We don't have time. If we don't figure this out soon, things could get a lot worse. We've already had one misunderstanding. If they start seeing us as a threat because of these hallucinations." Elena understood. The aliens' confused, panicked reactions could easily lead to conflict. She had seen the fear and paranoia in their eyes. If the situation wasn't handled delicately, Earth could be facing an unnecessary war, one sparked not by aggression, but by misperception. While the humans strategized outside, inside the alien ship, chaos reigned. The crew of the Tevloth, an exploration vessel from the Zelva Collective, had never encountered anything like Earth's atmosphere. What had begun as a routine reconnaissance mission had quickly devolved into a nightmare. Captain Vrexthal, a seasoned Zelvan commander, paced erratically in the dimly lit control room. His three eyes darted between the readouts on the screens in front of him, but they meant nothing to him now. He couldn't focus. The walls of the ship seemed to ripple and shift as if they were alive, breathing. Strange, phantom shapes danced in the corners of his vision, and voices whispered unintelligible things into his ears. The atmosphere was supposed to be harmless, but the alien's sensitive biology was reacting to it in ways the Zelvans had never anticipated. The once orderly and precise control systems of the Tevloth now seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The ship's internal lighting flickered erratically, casting unsettling shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. "Captain," came a voice from behind him. It was First Officer Relix, her voice trembling as she struggled to maintain her composure. "Our systems are failing. The environmental stabilizers can't keep up. We need to get out of here before we lose control completely." Vrex turned to face her, but as he did, her form seemed to warp and distort. For a moment, she was no longer his first officer, but a creature of light and shadow, a towering figure with wings of fire. He blinked, and the image shifted again. Now she was something else, something monstrous. He recoiled, stumbling back against the control panel. "Stay back," he shouted, his voice shaking. Relix's eyes widened in confusion. "Captain, it's me. You're not seeing things clearly." But Vrex couldn't hear her. The hallucinations were too strong, too overpowering. The ship was alive. The humans were gods. The world around him was unraveling. As the crew members staggered through the halls of the Tevloth, their experiences varied wildly. Some were caught in visions of celestial grandeur, believing they had encountered deities of unimaginable power. They saw the humans as radiant beings, their skin glowing with divine light, their voices resonating with the harmonic tones of cosmic music. In their minds, Earth had become a sacred realm, and the crew were its unwitting pilgrims. Others experienced the opposite, a nightmarish distortion of reality. To these crew members, the humans appeared as malevolent spirits, their faces twisted into demonic forms, their intentions shrouded in dark mystery. The ship's corridors became labyrinthine horrors, and every sound was a sinister whisper from a hidden enemy. Relix, driven by fear, tried to contact the humans through the damaged communication array. Her efforts were disjointed, her messages incoherent, riddled with panic and desperation. The equipment was malfunctioning, warping her voice into garbled static. Back outside, Elena and her team of scientists worked frantically to decipher the alien biology and their reactions to Earth's atmosphere. They had collected as much data as they could from their initial readings, but the puzzle remained incomplete. With limited access to the alien ship and no direct communication, they were working with fragments of information. Elena stood at her workstation, surrounded by holographic projections of alien brain scans. Next to her, Dr. Lydia Wu, a xenobiologist who had joined the team, was poring over chemical analyses of the atmosphere samples. "I think we've found the culprit," Wu said, pointing to one of the data points on her screen. "It's the nitrogen levels. Our atmosphere is about 78% nitrogen, right? To us, it's inert. But to them, look at how their neural receptors are responding to it." Elena examined the data, her eyes widening in realization. Their brains are interpreting nitrogen as a psychoactive substance. It's flooding their neural pathways and disrupting normal function, causing them to hallucinate, experience emotional overloads, and react irrationally. Wu nodded. Their biology was never meant to handle it. In small doses, they might be able to adapt, but our atmosphere is too rich in nitrogen for them to withstand over long periods. Elena's mind raced. We could try creating an artificial atmosphere bubble, but that would take time. Anderson, who had been listening nearby, rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Maybe we can use one of the mobile labs to create a controlled environment for them. If we can stabilize their surroundings and minimize their exposure to our atmosphere, we might be able to restore some level of rationality. Wu looked up from her screen. It's a long shot, but it might work. We could set up an environmental containment unit to filter out the excess nitrogen and replace it with a more neutral gas mixture. It might take some time, but it's our best option for now. As the team discussed their plan, Elena glanced at the live feed from the surveillance drones. The image showed the alien figures emerging from the ship again, this time appearing more disoriented than before. Their movements were erratic, their gestures exaggerated, as if they were trying to interact with unseen forces. "They're in bad shape," Elena said, her voice filled with concern. "We need to act quickly." Inside the Tevloth, the hallucinations continued to intensify. Vrex Thal had lost all sense of reality. The humans, the creatures he had seen at the crash site, were no longer the frail, low-tier beings he had once believed them to be. In his mind, they had transformed into something far greater. He saw visions of humans bathed in radiant light, their faces shifting and morphing into unfamiliar shapes. They stood tall, towering over the landscape, their eyes burning with an otherworldly power. Some of his crew had spoken of ancient myth stories of god-like beings who controlled the fates of entire worlds. Could these humans be such beings? Had the Zelva collective stumbled upon a planet ruled by gods? But not all of his crew saw the humans in the same way. Relix saw something far darker. To her, the humans were malevolent entities, cloaked in shadow and malice. Their faces were twisted into grotesque masks, their mouths moving in strange, silent chants. They watched her with eyes that pierced through her soul, and she could feel their judgment. "They're demons," she whispered, her voice trembling as she stared at the ship's monitors. "They're here to destroy us, Captain. We need to leave." Vrex shook his head, his vision swimming with conflicting images. "No, they're gods. We need to beg for mercy." The crew was divided, their perceptions warped by Earth's atmosphere. Some saw the humans as divine saviors, others as monstrous threats. But in the chaos of their hallucinations, one thing was clear to all of them. The humans were not what they had seemed. As the human team prepared the environmental containment unit, the situation on the alien ship continued to deteriorate. The crew's hallucinations became more intense, their actions increasingly unpredictable. The unit, a complex system designed to regulate the atmosphere and filter out the harmful nitrogen, was slowly taking shape. But as it neared completion, the urgency of the situation only grew. Elena watched the progress with a mix of hope and apprehension. "We're almost ready, but we need to ensure that the containment unit is properly calibrated. If it's not perfect, we risk making things worse." Anderson, ever the pragmatist, was overseeing the unit's assembly. "We need to be ready for anything. If the aliens make a move, we have to be prepared to handle it without escalating the situation." The drone footage of the alien ship showed Vrex and his crew in a state of extreme disarray. The conflicting perceptions among the crew were leading to sporadic bursts of activity, with some attempting to initiate contact and others preparing for what they believed to be an inevitable confrontation. Elena took a deep breath. "If we can stabilize their environment and establish communication, we might be able to defuse the situation, but it's going to be a delicate operation." As the last components of the containment unit were put into place, the team braced themselves for the next phase. The fate of the first contact and potentially the future of interstellar relations hinged on their ability to manage this unprecedented crisis and restore a sense of normalcy to the disoriented alien visitors. Anderson paced outside the mobile lab, glancing warily at the alien ship. He had seen the confusion in the aliens' eyes, the way they had reacted to the soldiers' movements. It was clear now that their erratic behavior wasn't a sign of hostility. It was fear, confusion, and disorientation. "General Wells isn't going to like this," Anderson muttered to Elena as she joined him. "He's already suspicious of them, and now we have to tell him that they're high on Earth's air." "We don't have a choice," Elena replied, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "If we don't act soon, their hallucinations could push them to do something drastic. They might not be able to distinguish reality from their delusions anymore." As the two of them spoke, one of the drones monitoring the alien ship picked up movement. On the live feed, they saw one of the alien figures emerging from the ship again, this time alone. It was Vrex Thal, the captain whose behavior had been especially erratic. Vrex stumbled out, his gait unsteady. His three eyes darted around, scanning the environment with a mix of awe and fear. He looked like he was trying to make sense of the world around him. But the distorted reality he was experiencing made everything seem surreal and menacing. His body language was a mix of reverence and panic, as if he were both worshipping and fleeing from invisible forces. Elena's heart raced as she watched the feed. He's trying to come out of the ship. This could be our chance to make contact and show them we're not a threat. Anderson nodded, but his face was taut with concern. We need to be careful. If he's seeing us as hostile or divine, any sudden movement might be misinterpreted. They moved quickly, coordinating with the soldiers to create a clear and non-threatening path towards Vrex. Elena adjusted her equipment, preparing to use the environmental containment unit they had set up to filter the atmosphere around Vrex, hoping it would alleviate some of his hallucinations and allow for clearer communication. As they approached, Vrex's reaction was immediate. He paused, his eyes widening as he took in the sight of the humans and their equipment. For a moment, he stood still, as if trying to piece together the confusing images in his mind. One of the soldiers, carefully trained for first contact scenarios, stepped forward and raised a hand in a gesture of peace. "We're here to help," he said in a calm, soothing tone. "Please, let us assist you." Vrex's eyes shifted from the soldier to Elena and Anderson, his expression a mixture of awe and trepidation. The hallucinations continued to distort his perception, but something in the soldier's calm demeanor seemed to penetrate through the fog of his altered reality. Elena activated a portable translator, hoping it would bridge the gap between their languages. "We are scientists," she said through the device. "We wish to communicate and assist. Can you understand us?" Vrex's response was a mix of fragmented thoughts, his voice trembling as he spoke. You are beings of light, or shadows, I do not know, but help us, please." Elena took a cautious step closer, her voice gentle. "We are here to help. We have created an environment that might make it easier for you to regain your clarity. Follow us, and we can begin to fix this." As Vrex hesitated, his confusion palpable, the team set up a safe perimeter around the containment unit. With great care, they guided him towards it, hoping the filtered atmosphere would provide some relief. Inside the containment unit, the air was slowly adjusted to a more neutral mixture, designed to ease the hallucinogenic effects on the alien physiology. The team watched anxiously as Vrex took a deep breath, his reaction immediate. The signs of relief were subtle but noticeable. His posture relaxed slightly, and the frantic, fearful glances began to subside. Elena watched Vrex closely. "How are you feeling?" she asked through the translator. Vrex took another deep breath, his eyes blinking as if trying to clear away lingering illusions. "Better," he said slowly, his voice regaining some steadiness. "The fog is lifting. I can see you more clearly now." Relief washed over Elena. "That's good. We need to keep you in this controlled environment until we understand more about your biology and how to prevent this from happening again." Vrex nodded, though his expression remained wary. "We are grateful for your help. Our situation was dire. We did not understand." Anderson stepped forward. "We need to establish clear communication. It's important that we understand each other to avoid any further misunderstandings." As the containment unit continued to stabilize, Elena, Anderson, and their team began the difficult task of fostering trust and cooperation. The initial phase of contact had been fraught with peril, but it was clear that moving forward with patience and understanding was the key to building a bridge between their worlds. The journey to make first contact a success was far from over, but with the immediate crisis managed, they could now focus on unraveling the complexities of their newfound relationship with the aliens. As Vrex acclimated to the controlled environment within the containment unit, the situation beyond Earth's atmosphere was rapidly evolving. News of the atmospheric anomalies had spread quickly through the galactic network. The Zelva Collective's distress signal had triggered an alert, drawing the attention of the higher echelons of their society and neighboring factions. The bizarre effects of Earth's atmosphere had provoked a range of reactions across the galaxy: fear, curiosity, and, in some quarters, outright panic. In the midst of this growing turmoil, a second Zelvan ship, the Zelver, was dispatched to Earth. Unlike the Tevloth, which had been primarily a scout vessel, the Zelver was a heavily fortified cruiser, equipped with advanced containment protocols and an array of defensive systems. Its mission was clear: to assess the situation on Earth, enforce a quarantine, and prevent the atmosphere's influence from spreading. The Zelver approached Earth with a cautious, methodical trajectory. The crew was aware of the chaotic situation surrounding the previous ship and intended to avoid the mistakes made by their predecessors. The new crew, led by Commander Xylo Kren, had been briefed on the bizarre effects of the atmosphere and were prepared to deal with it more effectively. Upon arrival, the Zelver began deploying a series of automated drones designed to create a protective barrier around the planet. These drones released specialized substances into the atmosphere to neutralize its hallucinogenic properties and contain any potential leaks. The idea was to establish a controlled perimeter that would prevent the atmosphere from contaminating other regions of space or affecting additional ships. From their vantage point in orbit, the crew of the Zelver monitored the situation on the surface closely. Commander Kren, a seasoned strategist with a reputation for cool-headed decision-making, addressed his crew with a mix of resolve and apprehension. "Our primary objective is to establish a quarantine," Kren stated, his voice echoing through the command deck. "We need to contain the effects of this atmosphere and prevent any further contamination. We have already seen the chaos it can cause. We must ensure it does not escalate." The drones worked in tandem, creating a visible, shimmering barrier around Earth. As they deployed their chemical agents, the atmosphere began to stabilize in the immediate vicinity of the ship, but the effects were not instantaneously evident across the entire planet. News of Earth's peculiar atmosphere and the subsequent quarantine spread rapidly through the galactic network. Different factions and species reacted with a mix of trepidation and fascination. Among the more fearful factions were the Orovans, a technologically advanced race known for their paranoia and isolationist tendencies. They viewed Earth's atmosphere as a potential biological weapon, something that could be used to incapacitate or destroy entire civilizations. The Orovans' response was swift and severe. They began reinforcing their own planetary defenses and initiating diplomatic measures to ensure that none of their worlds would be affected by the atmospheric anomaly. In contrast, the Eleurathians, a group renowned for their philosophical and exploratory pursuits, saw Earth's atmosphere as a treasure trove of mental and spiritual experiences. To them, it was a rare opportunity to explore new states of consciousness and expand their understanding of the universe. The Eleurathians were eager to establish contact and negotiate terms for limited, controlled access to Earth's atmosphere, hoping to delve into its effects under supervised conditions. Within the Zelva collective itself, internal debates raged. Some factions pushed for the complete isolation of Earth, arguing that the risk of exposure was too great and that the atmosphere's effects could potentially be weaponized. Others advocated for further scientific exploration, suggesting that the atmosphere's unique properties could hold the key to breakthroughs in xenobiology and psychophysics. Back on Earth, the arrival of the Zelver and the establishment of the quarantine did little to alleviate the sense of unease. The human scientific teams continued their work, but the new developments raised questions about the long-term implications of the situation. The presence of the Zelver and the subsequent reports from other galactic factions introduced a new layer of complexity to the situation. Elena Vargas and Anderson stood in the mobile lab, staring at the latest intelligence feed from the Zelver. The shimmering barrier around Earth was both a relief and a reminder of the ongoing crisis. "The quarantine is up," Anderson observed, his gaze fixed on the holographic display. "But this is just the beginning. The galactic factions are reacting, and it's only a matter of time before they make their move." Elena nodded, her mind racing with the implications. "We need to prepare for the possibility of more visits from other factions. If the Eleurathians or any other groups decide to come here, we'll have to be ready to manage their expectations and ensure that the situation doesn't spiral out of control." As the team continued to monitor the developments, It became increasingly clear that Earth was now at the center of a galactic spectacle. The atmosphere that had once seemed like an insignificant detail was now a source of intrigue and tension across the stars. With the quarantine in place, Earth's immediate danger was mitigated, but the diplomatic challenge was just beginning. The Zelvan authorities, led by the newly arrived Zelver, sought to negotiate terms for continued research and interaction with Earth. They understood the significance of the atmosphere and its potential, but they also recognized the need for careful management and respect for human sovereignty. Commander Kren, aware of the delicate nature of the situation, reached out to the human authorities for a meeting. He wanted to discuss the ongoing containment efforts and explore ways to ensure a peaceful coexistence while managing the risk. In a high-stakes meeting at a secure facility, Kren, Elena, Anderson, and a few other key human representatives gathered to address the next steps. Kren's demeanor was professional and respectful, his aim to find a mutually agreeable solution. "We appreciate the cooperation you've shown so far," Kren began, his voice calm and measured. "Our primary goal is to contain the effects of your atmosphere and prevent any further complications. However, we also wish to discuss the future of our interactions. The quarantine is a temporary measure. We need to establish clear protocols for future engagements." Elena looked at the alien commander, her expression one of cautious optimism. "We're willing to work with you to ensure that both sides are protected and that we can manage the situation effectively. Our main concern is the safety and well-being of both our people and yours." Kren nodded. "We understand. There are concerns within the Zelva collective about the atmosphere's potential uses and the risk it poses. We want to ensure that we address these concerns without infringing on your autonomy. Our objective is to find a balanced approach that allows for scientific exploration while safeguarding against potential dangers. The discovery that Earth's atmosphere acts as a potent narcotic for most alien species had profound implications. As the effects of Earth's atmosphere on the Zelvan crew became clear, scientists and government officials began to piece together the broader ramifications. What had initially been perceived as a peculiar anomaly was now recognized as a galactic-level substance with potentially transformative effects. The discovery that Earth's atmosphere was a galactic-level narcotic sent ripples of shock and excitement through every corner of humanity. As the Zelvan crew's bizarre reactions became clearer, the reality of Earth's atmospheric effects took on a new dimension. What had once been an unusual but minor discovery now loomed as a cosmic revelation. In the dimly lit lab, Elena Vargas stood before the viewing window, her eyes fixed on the chaotic scene inside the alien ship. The Zelvan crew, previously so orderly and composed, now moved erratically, their actions punctuated by odd gestures and disjointed speech. It was as if they were trapped in a never-ending dream, their minds overwhelmed by the atmosphere's influence. Dr. Aaron Wu worked furiously at his terminal, his face dimmed by the glow of multiple screens. His fingers danced over the keyboard, cross-referencing data, running simulations, and analyzing the chemical properties of Earth's air. Finally, with a weary sigh, he turned to Elena, his expression a mix of awe and concern. "Elena," he said, his voice tinged with disbelief, "the atmosphere isn't just affecting them, it's chemically altering their perception. It's like a powerful narcotic. The hallucinations they're experiencing are central, not incidental." Elena's heart raced as she absorbed the magnitude of Aaron's words. The implications were enormous. The atmosphere wasn't merely causing disorientation, it was inducing profound, potentially addictive experiences in alien species. The news spread like wildfire. The unassembly was hastily convened, an emergency session called to address the unprecedented situation. The room buzzed with tension as representatives, military leaders, and scientists gathered, each grappling with the new reality. President Sarah Jameson took the podium, her face set in a grim line. "We face a critical juncture. The atmosphere's effects present us with unparalleled opportunities, but also significant risks. We must navigate this situation with both caution and foresight." General Marcus Wells stood up, his demeanor stern. This could make Earth a target or a bargaining chip in galactic politics. We need to ensure our planet's security and avoid turning ourselves into a galactic pawn. The corporate world wasn't idle. Maria Xavier, the charismatic CEO of Xavier Industries, saw the atmosphere as a gateway to immense profit. She was quick to propose a plan for a galactic experience center on Earth. "This is a golden opportunity for economic growth," Maria declared, her eyes gleaming with ambition. "We can turn Earth into a premier destination for high-value interstellar clients." The proposal was bold: create a controlled environment where alien visitors could experience Earth's atmosphere under strict supervision. It was a plan designed to capitalize on the atmosphere's addictive properties while keeping the risks contained. Yet, it raised ethical concerns that could not be ignored. Dr. Sylvia Patel was an environmental ethicist known for her impassioned advocacy for responsible stewardship. She paced her office, her brow furrowed as she considered the implications of commercializing Earth's atmosphere. Her phone rang, and she answered with a sense of urgency. "Yes, I understand the gravity of the situation," she said, her voice resolute. "But we must consider the ethical ramifications. We're talking about exploiting a substance that profoundly affects sentient beings. We have a responsibility to protect our environment and avoid repeating the mistakes of past exploitation." Meanwhile, Ambassador Daniel Reyes was deep in diplomatic discussions, working tirelessly to navigate the complex web of interstellar politics. He sat at his desk, reviewing a series of urgent communiques. The Zelvan's arrival and the discovery of the atmosphere had stirred a flurry of diplomatic activity. "We need to approach this with a balanced strategy," he said during a briefing with his team. "Engaging with other factions cautiously while maintaining strong defenses is crucial. We must prevent Earth from becoming a battleground for galactic interests." Xavier Industries had its own set of players. Maria Xavier, ever the visionary, had assembled her executive team to strategize the commercial rollout. "We need to develop a detailed plan for controlled access," Maria instructed. "We'll set up secure facilities and implement strict guidelines to manage the use of the atmosphere. This will not only generate significant revenue, but also position Earth as a key player in galactic markets." Amidst this, Dr. Aaron Wu and Elena Vargas worked together to devise a scientific approach to managing the atmosphere's effects. They met in a high-tech lab, surrounded by a maze of equipment and screens. "We need to create a comprehensive framework for studying the atmospheric effects," Elena said. "This means not only understanding its impact, but also developing protocols for its safe handling and use." The room was filled with tension as they discussed the potential scenarios. Should Earth reveal the full extent of its atmospheric properties or maintain secrecy? Should they engage with the galaxy or focus on protection? The stakes were high, and the answers were far from clear. The debate among humanity's leaders and thinkers was a whirlwind of conflicting perspectives and motivations. President Sarah Jameson and General Wells met with Elena Vargas, Dr. Aaron Wu, and other key figures to deliberate their next steps. The atmosphere was charged as they navigated through the options before them. "Elena, what do you see as the biggest opportunity if we decide to engage with the galaxy?" President Jameson asked, her eyes searching for a clear path forward. Elena replied with conviction. "Engaging with the galaxy could offer us unparalleled scientific and technological advancements. It's an opportunity to establish ourselves as a key player on the galactic stage. But we need to tread carefully and manage the risks associated with this." General Wells interjected with a note of caution. "Our priority should be the security of Earth. Revealing our atmospheric properties could make us vulnerable to exploitation or aggression. We need to ensure that our defenses are up to the task and that we have measures in place to protect ourselves." Dr. Sylvia Patel joined the conversation, her voice steady but firm. "We must also consider the ethical implications. Commercializing the atmosphere could have serious consequences for the alien species affected by it. We have a responsibility to approach this with respect and caution." Ambassador Daniel Reyes added a diplomatic perspective. "Our approach should be strategic and measured. We need to establish communication channels with other galactic factions and build alliances while maintaining our security. The key is to balance engagement with protection. Maria Xavier presented her vision for the commercial aspect, detailing plans for the Galactic Experience Center. We can create a controlled environment that allows us to profit from the atmosphere while managing the risks. This plan will position Earth as a hub for interstellar experiences and open up new economic opportunities. The discussion was intense, filled with conflicting viewpoints and high stakes. Each character brought their own motivations and perspectives, adding depth to the debate. As the discussions progressed, a tentative plan began to emerge. The strategy involved a combination of secrecy, controlled engagement, and enhanced security measures. 1. Controlled disclosure. Earth would begin by selectively sharing information about the atmosphere's effects with trusted allies and key galactic entities. This approach aimed to build strategic relationships while maintaining a level of control over the dissemination of information. 2. Regulated access. The introduction of a regulated system for controlled access to the atmosphere was proposed. This system would involve stringent guidelines and oversight to ensure that the substance was used ethically and responsibly. Elena Vargas and Dr. Aaron Wu would oversee the development of this system, working closely with the Zelver and other galactic representatives. 3. Enhanced security. Measures to bolster Earth's defenses and intelligence capabilities were prioritized. The focus was on preventing unauthorized access and protecting against potential threats. General Wells and his team were tasked with implementing these security measures. 4. Diplomatic initiatives. Efforts to establish diplomatic channels and agreements with other galactic factions were ramped up. The goal was to foster cooperation and build alliances while managing the risks associated with the atmosphere's properties. Humanity's realization of its newfound status was a momentous development, marking the beginning of a new chapter in its history. The decisions made in the coming months would shape the future of Earth's place in the galaxy, setting the stage for both unprecedented opportunities and potential risks. The journey ahead was fraught with complexity, but it also held the promise of forging a new path for humanity among the stars. The unassembly hall was a cacophony of voices and rustling papers as representatives from every corner of the globe converged to discuss the seismic revelation that Earth's atmosphere was a galactic-level narcotic. The news had spread like wildfire, and the usually formal, measured discussions of international diplomacy were replaced by a heightened sense of urgency and anticipation. Today was not just another meeting, it was a pivotal moment in human history. At the heart of the assembly stood President Sarah Jameson, a figure of calm authority amidst the swirling storm of anxiety and curiosity. She was known for her diplomatic finesse, but today's challenge was unlike any other. As she approached the podium, her gaze swept over the sea of faces, delegates from every nation, each one representing a different facet of global perspectives. Esteemed delegates, President Jameson began, her voice firm yet resonant with the gravity of the moment. We are faced with a discovery that fundamentally alters our understanding of our place in the cosmos. Our atmosphere has been identified as having hallucinogenic properties that affect most alien species profoundly. The room fell into a hush. The delegates exchanged glances of disbelief and intrigue, the gravity of the revelation setting in. The very air they breathed was now a subject of galactic significance. This discovery positions us uniquely, President Jameson continued. It presents both an unprecedented opportunity and significant risks. We must deliberate carefully on how to manage this newfound knowledge. Should we protect our planet as a priceless asset, or should we explore its potential benefits while ensuring our security? Her speech was met with a mix of nods and murmurs. The delegates were visibly shaken, their minds racing with the implications of the president's words. The future of Earth's role in the galaxy depended on the decisions made in this assembly, and the weight of the moment was palpable. As the room buzzed with discussion, General Marcus Wells, known for his strategic acumen and unwavering commitment to national security, took the podium. His presence was commanding, and his military uniform was impeccably pressed. a symbol of his dedication and discipline. "Ladies and gentlemen," General Wells began, his voice cutting through the assembly's murmur with a note of urgency. "We must address the security implications of this discovery. The effects of our atmosphere have already attracted significant interest from various alien factions. This could pose a serious threat to our planet." He paused, allowing his words to resonate. "Our immediate priority must be to fortify our defenses and enhance our surveillance capabilities. We need to be prepared for scenarios where hostile entities might seek to exploit or coerce us into relinquishing control over this resource." General Wells' remarks were met with a mix of agreement and concern. The gravity of his message was clear. Earth's newfound status as a galactic commodity came with substantial security risks. The delegates' expressions ranged from concern to outright fear as they contemplated the potential threats that might arise. Amidst the growing tension, Maria Xavier, the dynamic CEO of Xavier Industries, approached the podium with a confident stride. Her proposal aimed to turn Earth's atmospheric properties into a major economic asset, a vision that promised both significant revenue and global prominence. "Distinguished delegates," Maria began, her tone both assertive and persuasive, "the discovery of our atmosphere's unique properties offers us an unparalleled opportunity. I propose the establishment of the Galactic Experience Center, a controlled environment where alien species can safely experience our atmosphere." Her proposal was met with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The Galactic Experience Center would not only generate substantial revenue, but also position Earth as a key player in galactic commerce. By regulating access and ensuring safety, we can maximize the benefits of this resource while maintaining control. Maria's vision promised a future where Earth could leverage its newfound status for economic growth. Her ambitious plan was designed to capitalize on the galactic attention and transform it into a profitable venture. However, the idea of commercializing Earth's atmosphere sparked a heated debate, as some delegates feared the implications of turning such a unique resource into a commodity. As the debate continued, internal pressures began to shape the discussion. Different factions within the assembly voiced their opinions, each representing a unique perspective on how to handle the discovery. Dr. Sylvia Patel, a leading environmental ethicist, took the floor with a sense of urgency. Her background in environmental science and ethics made her a prominent voice in the debate. "We must approach this discovery with a sense of responsibility," Dr. Patel stated firmly. "Commercializing our atmosphere could lead to exploitation and unforeseen consequences. Our priority should be on ethical stewardship, not immediate financial gain." Her words resonated with many delegates who were concerned about the long-term implications of commercialization. Dr. Patel's perspective introduced a critical dimension to the discussion, emphasizing the need for a balanced and ethical approach. The Assembly listened intently as she outlined the potential risks of exploitation and the moral responsibilities that came with such a discovery. Externally, the galactic community was abuzz with activity. Alien factions, now aware of Earth's newfound status, began maneuvering to position themselves advantageously. Diplomatic channels were abuzz as various factions sought to align themselves with Earth or capitalize on the emerging opportunity. Ambassador Daniel Reyes, tasked with managing these complex interstellar relationships, was deeply engaged in negotiations. His role was crucial in navigating the delicate balance between building alliances and protecting Earth's interests. "Our strategy must be both strategic and cautious," Ambassador Reyes advised his team. "We need to build alliances while safeguarding our position. The galactic community is closely observing our actions, and our decisions will set the tone for future relations." The external pressures added another layer of complexity to the internal debate. Alien factions were eager to secure their own stakes in the burgeoning galactic marketplace, and the negotiations with these entities became a critical aspect of the discussions. As the Assembly continued, the intensity of the debate escalated. The delegates were divided, with some advocating for immediate commercialization to capitalize on the opportunity, while others, led by voices like Dr. Patel's, urged caution and ethical consideration. The chamber was filled with the murmur of heated arguments, the clatter of notes being exchanged, and the occasional sharp intake of breath as new proposals were put forth. Senator Alan Clark, a prominent advocate for immediate action, spoke with fervor. "We cannot ignore the economic potential," he argued. "By establishing the Galactic Experience Center, we can position Earth as a central hub in the galaxy's new economy. This is a chance to elevate our global standing and ensure prosperity for generations to come." His words were met with enthusiastic applause from some corners of the hall, but were countered by skeptical murmurs from others. The debate was becoming increasingly polarized, with tensions running high as delegates struggled to reconcile the potential benefits with the risks involved. As the discussions reached a crescendo, President Jameson called for a vote. The Assembly was at a crossroads, and the decisions made here would determine the future trajectory of Earth's involvement in the galactic community. The stakes were high, and the outcome of the vote would shape the course of humanity's future. Each delegate cast their vote with a sense of gravity, knowing that their decision would have far-reaching implications. The results were tallied, and the Assembly waited with bated breath for the announcement. President Jameson, her face a mask of resolve, announced the results. "The Assembly has decided to proceed with the establishment of the Galactic Experience Center, with strict regulations and ethical guidelines in place to manage the commercialization of our atmosphere." The decision was met with a mix of relief and apprehension. The Assembly had chosen a path that balanced the economic potential with a need for ethical stewardship. The next steps would involve meticulous planning and implementation to ensure that Earth's new role in the galaxy was managed responsibly. As the Assembly adjourned, the atmosphere within the global community was charged with an unprecedented intensity. Earth had been thrust into a new role on the galactic stage, its atmosphere now a coveted, powerful substance. The decision to leverage this discovery posed a complex ethical and strategic dilemma. The debate that followed would not only shape Earth's future, but also redefine its place in the galaxy. In the wake of the Assembly, Ambassador Daniel Reyes found himself at the epicenter of a whirlwind of diplomatic activity. His office was a flurry of movement staff members scurrying to and fro, holographic displays flashing with updates, and encrypted messages streaming in from various galactic factions. Reyes, a man known for his strategic brilliance and diplomatic finesse, was tasked with navigating this new and turbulent landscape. "Ambassador Reyes," a voice crackled through the intercom. It was Julia, his trusted aide. "The representatives from the Varkar Coalition are on their way for a preliminary meeting. They're eager to discuss potential trade agreements regarding the Galactic Experience Center." Reyes nodded, his mind racing with the complexities of the situation. The Varkar Coalition, one of the most influential factions in the galaxy, was keenly interested in Earth's atmospheric properties. Negotiating with such powerful entities required a delicate balance of diplomacy and strategy. As he prepared for the meeting, Reyes reflected on the broader implications of the situation. The atmosphere was now considered a galactic-level narcotic, a discovery that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. His role was to ensure that Earth could navigate these treacherous waters without compromising its security or values. When the Varkar representatives arrived, their demeanor was one of calculated interest. They were sophisticated beings with a reputation for astute negotiation and shrewd strategy. Reyes welcomed them with a mixture of respect and cautious optimism. "Welcome to Earth," Reyes began, extending his hand in a gesture of goodwill. "We appreciate your interest in discussing potential cooperation regarding the Galactic Experience Center." The Varkar delegation, led by a tall, elegant figure named Thaler, responded with a nod. "Ambassador Reyes, it's a pleasure. We've reviewed the preliminary data and are intrigued by the unique properties of your atmosphere. We're interested in exploring how we might establish a mutually beneficial arrangement." Reyes guided them into a conference room adorned with holographic projections of Earth's atmosphere and its effects on different species. As the discussion unfolded, Reyes skillfully navigated the conversation, addressing the Varkar's inquiries while carefully safeguarding Earth's interests. We're committed to ensuring that any agreements align with our ethical standards and security needs, Ryzaen emphasized. Our goal is to establish a framework that benefits all parties while respecting the unique nature of this resource. The meeting concluded with a tentative agreement to further explore the possibilities of collaboration. Ryzaen knew that this was just the beginning of a complex negotiation process. The Varkar coalition was just one of many factions eager to gain access to Earth's atmospheric bounty. As negotiations progressed, the debate within Earth's corridors of power became increasingly heated. Different factions within humanity were grappling with the moral and strategic implications of the discovery. The question of whether to protect Earth's atmosphere as a powerful weapon or to leverage it for diplomatic and economic gain was at the heart of the debate. Senator Alan Clark, a staunch advocate for leveraging the discovery, argued passionately in favor of negotiation. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to elevate our status in the galaxy. By negotiating with galactic factions, we can secure alliances, boost our economy, and position ourselves as a key player on the interstellar stage. Clark's arguments were supported by those who saw the economic and strategic benefits of leveraging the atmosphere. The prospect of establishing Earth as a hub of galactic commerce and diplomacy was enticing. Many believed that this approach would provide significant benefits, from advanced technology transfers to enhanced global standing. However, Dr. Sylvia Patel, the environmental ethicist, and other cautious voices argued for a more conservative approach. We must consider the long-term implications of commercializing our atmosphere, Patel warned. Turning this unique resource into a commodity could lead to exploitation, environmental degradation, and even conflict. Our focus should be on protecting Earth and ensuring that any agreements align with our ethical standards. Patel's perspective resonated with those who were concerned about the potential risks and moral considerations. The idea of commercializing Earth's atmosphere was seen by many as fraught with ethical dilemmas and potential dangers. The debate was not just about immediate gains, but also about the broader impact on humanity and the environment. As the debate continued, public opinion played a significant role. Maria Xavier's proposal for the Galactic Experience Center had sparked a wave of interest and controversy. While some viewed it as a groundbreaking opportunity, others were alarmed by the potential risks. A public forum was organized to allow citizens to voice their opinions and concerns. The forum was a vibrant mix of passionate arguments and heartfelt pleas. Citizens expressed their hopes and fears, highlighting the diverse perspectives that shaped the national conversation. "I'm excited about the possibilities," said one attendee, a young entrepreneur. "This could be a game changer for our economy and technology. We need to seize this opportunity." "I'm worried about the potential consequences," countered another, an environmental activist. "What if we're opening the door to exploitation or conflict? We need to think about the long-term impact on our planet." The public's input added another layer of complexity to the debate. The decision was not just a political or economic one. It was also a moral and societal challenge. The diverse opinions reflected the broad spectrum of concerns and hopes that were shaping the discourse. As the debate deepened, strategic calculations became increasingly crucial. The prospect of leveraging Earth's atmosphere for diplomatic and economic gain required careful consideration of potential allies, rivals, and the broader galactic context. Ambassador Daniel Ryzaen worked tirelessly to build alliances and navigate the complex web of galactic politics. His role was to balance Earth's interest with the need to engage with other factions. He coordinated with his team to assess potential risks and benefits, developing strategies to ensure that Earth's position was safeguarded. "We need to be strategic in our approach," Ryzaen advised his team during a high-level briefing. "Our goal is to establish ourselves as a key player while minimizing risks. We must engage with potential allies and be prepared for potential conflicts." Ryzaen's team conducted detailed analyses of various galactic factions, assessing their interests, strengths, and potential impact on Earth's negotiations. The aim was to identify opportunities for collaboration while being vigilant about possible threats. As the debate reached its climax, The decision-making process became more intense. The internal discussions and external pressures converged, creating a sense of urgency and anticipation. President Sarah Jameson called for a final round of discussions with key stakeholders. The meeting was attended by representatives from government, military, business, and environmental sectors. The aim was to reach a consensus on the best path forward. "I believe it's time for a decisive action plan," President Jameson stated. "We need to balance our strategic interests with our ethical responsibilities. Our decisions will shape not only our future, but also our role in the galaxy." The meeting was a culmination of the intense debate that had unfolded over weeks of discussions. Delegates presented their final arguments, and a sense of resolution began to emerge. General Marcus Wells, known for his pragmatic approach, emphasized the importance of security and preparedness. "Our priority must be to protect Earth while exploring opportunities for collaboration. We need to ensure that we're prepared for any eventuality." As the discussions concluded, a plan was formulated to proceed with caution. The Galactic Experience Center would move forward, but with stringent regulations and safeguards to address ethical concerns and protect Earth's interests. The decision marked a critical juncture in humanity's history, balancing the promise of interstellar opportunities with the need for responsible stewardship. The discovery of Earth's atmosphere as a potent narcotic had sent ripples across the galaxy, but no one could have anticipated the explosive rise of the black market. As alien factions experienced extreme addiction to Earth's atmosphere, a clandestine network of illicit trade emerged, transforming the galactic economy and challenging Earth's security in unprecedented ways. In the dimly lit backrooms of the Zoreth system's bustling spaceport, shady dealings took place away from the prying eyes of interstellar law enforcement. These dark corners of the galaxy had become the epicenter of a burgeoning black market for Earth's atmosphere. Drake, a notorious smuggler and one of the key figures in this new illicit trade, sat at a holographic table in his secretive hideout. His sharp features and cybernetic enhancements made him an imposing figure in the underworld. A series of encrypted communications flickered across the table, detailing the latest shipments and client demands. Drake leaned back in his chair, his eyes scanning the data. "We've got a shipment going to the Tyrax sector tonight," he said, his voice gruff. "The demand is higher than ever. If we don't keep up, someone else will fill the void." His second-in-command, Ryzaen, a skilled pilot with a reputation for evading authorities, nodded in agreement. "I've lined up the crew and prepped the ship. We'll be ready for the drop-off. But we need to be cautious. The galactic authorities are tightening their grip." The black market for Earth's atmosphere had grown rapidly, with various factions and criminal organizations eager to capitalize on the new and highly addictive substance. Smugglers like Drake had become pivotal players in this underground network, facilitating the illegal trade and navigating the complexities of galactic law enforcement. The rise of alliances. As the black market flourished, so did the need for organized control. Thaler, a cunning leader of the Varkar coalition, saw the burgeoning black market as both a threat and an opportunity. Thaler, known for his strategic mind and formidable negotiating skills, convened a secretive meeting with leaders from several other influential factions. In the shadowy confines of a hidden conference room aboard a sleek, high-tech cruiser, Thaler addressed his fellow leaders. "The black market for Earth's atmosphere is spiraling out of control," he began. "We must consolidate our power to control the trade and ensure it benefits our interests. If we don't, we risk losing influence and facing instability." Nara, the head of the Ryzaen syndicate and a prominent figure in the criminal underworld, leaned forward with a predatory glint in her eyes. "Our networks are already deeply entrenched. If we can strike deals with the right players, we can monopolize the trade and ensure that Earth's atmosphere becomes a resource we control." The meeting was a strategic dance of alliances and power plays. The factions recognized the need to coordinate their efforts to dominate the black market and eliminate competition. They forged uneasy partnerships, blending diplomacy with coercion to carve out their share of the lucrative trade. The impact on Earth's security. Back on Earth, the rise of the black market had not gone unnoticed. The Global Security Council, led by General Marcus Wells and his team, was grappling with the escalating threat posed by the illicit trade. In a high-security briefing room, General Wells reviewed the latest intelligence reports. "The black market for our atmosphere has become a serious concern," he said, his voice steady but edged with frustration. "Illegal shipments are increasing, and the involvement of powerful alien factions only complicates our efforts to maintain control." Dr. Sylvia Patel, now a key advisor to the Global Security Council, expressed her deepening concerns. "The environmental impact of these illegal operations could be catastrophic. We need to understand the scope of the problem and develop strategies to mitigate the damage." General Wells agreed. "We're already ramping up security measures, but we need to be proactive. Coordinating with galactic authorities and securing our borders are essential steps. We must also prepare for potential conflicts with factions that are heavily invested in the black market." The rise of the black market had led to an increase in smuggling attempts and illegal operations. The Interstellar Enforcement Agency, an organization tasked with monitoring and regulating galactic trade, had begun collaborating with Earth's security forces to address the threat. The coordination was fraught with challenges, as the black market's reach extended far beyond traditional enforcement mechanisms. The stakes were high for the smugglers, and the consequences of getting caught were severe. Rena, the pilot working for Drake, had a first-hand view of the risks involved. As she prepared for another shipment, she couldn't ignore the mounting pressure. In the cramped cockpit of her ship, Rena checked the cargo hold, filled with carefully sealed containers of Earth's atmosphere. "We're good to go," she said to her crew. "But remember, we need to stay sharp. The authorities are getting smarter, and so are our competitors." The illegal trade was a high-stakes game, with smugglers constantly adapting to avoid detection. Rena's skills and experience were crucial for navigating the treacherous path between Earth and the black market's buyers. Each shipment was a gamble, with the potential for massive profit or catastrophic failure. The galactic community was abuzz with the ramifications of the black market's rise. The Galactic Council, an interstellar governing body, convened to address the issue. Ambassador Daniel Reyes was at the forefront of these discussions, working to navigate the complex political landscape and coordinate efforts to combat the black market. In a tense meeting of the Galactic Council, Reyes addressed the representatives. "The black market for Earth's atmosphere poses significant challenges to galactic stability," he stated. "We must collaborate to curb these illegal operations and prevent further exploitation of this resource." The Council's response was a mix of urgency and cautious optimism. They recognized the need for coordinated action and were considering sanctions, increased patrols, and intelligence sharing initiatives to address the problem. However, balancing the interests of various factions and maintaining diplomatic relations proved to be a delicate task. On Earth, the black market's impact was felt not only through increased security measures, but also through public awareness. News reports and media coverage highlighted the illicit trade, sparking a range of reactions from the global populace. In a television interview, Maria Xavier addressed the growing concerns. "We must remain vigilant in protecting our atmosphere and addressing the black market," she urged. "Our goal is to ensure that the benefits of our discovery are used responsibly and that our security remains a top priority." Public sentiment was a mix of apprehension and frustration. Citizens were concerned about the potential risks associated with the black market and the implications for Earth's security. The media coverage fueled a sense of urgency and contributed to the broader discourse on how to handle the situation. As the black market continued to expand, the struggle to control it became more complex. The emergence of powerful alliances and criminal networks posed a formidable challenge, and the efforts to address the problem were ongoing. Drake, Rena, Thaler, Nara, and the key figures in the black market were all playing their parts in this high-stakes drama. Each had their motivations, strategies, and risks, contributing to the intricate web of the illicit trade. On Earth, the coordinated efforts of General Wells, Dr. Patel, and Ambassador Ryzaen were crucial in navigating the crisis. Their strategies and actions were shaping the response to the black market and determining how humanity would address the challenges posed by the galactic fascination with its atmosphere. The rise of the black market was a testament to the complexities of the galactic stage and the far-reaching consequences of Earth's discovery. As the story unfolded, the interplay of power, diplomacy, and criminal enterprise continued to shape the future of Earth and its place in the galaxy. The galaxy had been abuzz with the news of Earth's atmosphere, its hallucinogenic properties, a phenomenon that had intrigued and unsettled countless alien factions. With the discovery spreading like wildfire, two new factions, each with its own agenda, set their sights on Earth, plunging the planet into a whirlwind of interstellar tension and conflict. The first to arrive were the Saran Dominion, led by the formidable Supreme Commander Kale, known throughout the galaxy for their aggressive expansion and strategic prowess. The Sarans were a sight to behold. Their ship, a colossal battleship with an intimidating array of weaponry, descended upon Earth's atmosphere with an unmistakable sense of purpose. Kale was a figure of stark contrast. His reputation as a ruthless tactician was matched by a sharp intellect. As he stepped onto Earth's surface, flanked by his elite guard, the air crackled with a mix of apprehension and awe. His mission was clear: to assert the Dominion's dominance and secure control over Earth's atmosphere. "Prepare for an initial scan of the atmosphere," Kale ordered, his voice cutting through the hum of his troops. "We need to understand its properties and determine its strategic value." The Saran Dominion's arrival was a stark reminder of the stakes involved. Their militaristic approach contrasted sharply with the peaceful arrival of another faction. A few days later, the Elysian Consortium made their entrance. Unlike the Saran Dominion, the Elysian's arrival was marked by a calm, almost serene approach. Their ship, sleek and elegant, landed gently on Earth's surface. At the helm was Dr. Ilyana Vor, a renowned xenobiologist with a passion for discovery. Dr. Vor's ship was a stark contrast to Kale's. It was designed for exploration and research, equipped with advanced sensors and analytical tools. As she and her team disembarked, they were met with a mix of curiosity and caution from Earth's representatives. "I'm here to study," Dr. Vor said, her voice filled with enthusiasm. "The atmosphere holds incredible potential for understanding alien biology and psychology. We hope to explore its properties in a non-invasive manner." Dr. Vor's arrival was met with mixed reactions. While some welcomed her peaceful approach, others were wary of her intentions, especially given the growing tensions with the Saran Dominion. Back on Earth, Ambassador Daniel Ryzaen faced a daunting task. The arrival of the Saran Dominion and the Elysian Consortium had thrown the planet into a diplomatic and military frenzy. Ryzaen, who had barely caught his breath from dealing with previous negotiations, now had to manage the new influx of alien factions. In a high-stakes meeting at the United Nations headquarters, Ryzaen convened with General Marcus Wells and Dr. Sylvia Patel to strategize their next moves. "This is a delicate situation," Ryzaen said, glancing over the latest intelligence reports. "Kale's intentions are clear, and they're not friendly. We need to prepare for potential conflict while keeping diplomatic channels open with Dr. Vor." General Wells, ever the pragmatist, nodded in agreement. "Our military is on high alert. We're reinforcing defenses and preparing for any possible escalation. The Sarans have a reputation for aggression, and we can't afford to be caught off guard." Dr. Patel, whose expertise lay in environmental science, added, "We must also be mindful of the scientific implications. Dr. Vor's research could provide valuable insights, but we need to ensure that it doesn't lead to unforeseen consequences." As the diplomats and military strategists worked to address the challenges, the arrival of the new factions created a tense atmosphere on Earth. The Saran Dominion's aggressive stance and the Elysian Consortium's pursuit of knowledge were on a collision course, setting the stage for escalating conflicts. Rising tensions between alien groups. The tensions between the Saran Dominion and the Elysian Consortium quickly reached a boiling point. Kale, determined to assert his faction's dominance, saw the Elysian Consortium's research as a potential threat to his plans. His forces conducted aggressive maneuvers around Earth, causing friction with Dr. Vore and her team. In a tense standoff at a designated neutral zone, Kale confronted Dr. Vore. The air was thick with tension as the two leaders faced off. "You have no right to interfere with our operations," Kale growled, his eyes narrowing. "The Saren Dominion will not tolerate any attempts to undermine our authority." Dr. Vore, unfazed, stood her ground. "We're here to study, not to claim. Our research could benefit all species, but we need access to conduct our work. We have no intention of interfering with your plans." Their confrontation highlighted the deepening divide between the factions. The Saren Dominion's aggressive tactics clashed with the Elysian Consortium's pursuit of knowledge, creating a volatile environment. Meanwhile, Thaler, a key figure in the galactic black market, observed the situation with keen interest. His involvement in smuggling operations and under-the-table deals made him a significant player in the unfolding drama. In a secret meeting aboard his ship, Thaler discussed the situation with Nara of the Ryzaen Syndicate, another influential figure in the black market. "The Saren Dominion's aggression could disrupt our control over the atmosphere," Nara said, her voice steady. "We need to be prepared for any fallout that could impact our operations." Thaler nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. "And we can't ignore the Elysian Consortium. Their research could lead to new applications for the atmosphere, potentially altering the market dynamics." The growing tensions between the factions created a complex web of intrigue and conflict. Earth's security forces, led by General Wells, were on high alert, preparing for potential confrontations and working to maintain order. As the situation unfolded, Earth's response became increasingly critical. President Sarah Jameson addressed the nation, calling for calm and cooperation. "We face a complex and unprecedented challenge," President Jameson said in her address. "The arrival of new factions on our planet requires careful management. We must ensure the safety of our people while navigating the delicate balance of diplomacy and security." The president's address was aimed at reassuring the public and demonstrating Earth's resolve. Behind the scenes, General Wells and his team worked to bolster defenses and enhance military readiness. In the corridors of power, the global community grappled with the implications of the new faction's presence. The intelligence agencies worked tirelessly to uncover the motivations and plans of the various factions, revealing a web of alliances and rivalries. Drake and Renan, the smuggler and his pilot, found themselves caught in the crossfire of the galactic power struggles. Their smuggling operations were disrupted as the factions clashed, and they had to navigate a chaotic environment to complete their missions. In one particularly tense encounter, Drake and Rena evaded detection as the faction's forces engaged in a fierce battle. Their skills and wits were put to the test as they maneuvered through the conflict-ridden landscape. As the situation continued to evolve, the risk of open conflict grew. The Saren Dominion and the Elysian Consortium were on a collision course, with their divergent goals creating a volatile environment. The Varkar Coalition and the Ryzaen Syndicate played their own games behind the scenes, further complicating the dynamics. The Galactic Council convened in an emergency session to address the escalating tensions. Ambassador Ryzaen and his team worked tirelessly to mediate the conflict, striving to find a diplomatic resolution while preparing for the possibility of military engagement. In a high-stakes summit, Ryzaen faced off against Kale, Vore, and representatives from other factions. The discussions were fraught with tension as each faction sought to assert its interests. "We must find a way to coexist," Ryzaen urged. "The alternative is a conflict that could have devastating consequences for all parties involved." The summit ended with a fragile agreement to establish temporary zones of control and engage in further negotiations. The terms were designed to de-escalate immediate tensions while allowing for continued dialogue. It was a crisp, clear evening at the Elysian Consortium's research facility, nestled in the rolling hills of Earth's countryside. The serene surroundings belied the tension inside the lab. Dr. Ileana Vore, the renowned xenobiologist, paced the length of her laboratory, her gaze flicking between screens filled with complex data. The atmosphere had been an enigma, but the latest breakthrough threatened to unravel the galaxy's status quo. Her team had been working tirelessly, analyzing the effects of Earth's atmosphere on alien physiology. The initial findings were intriguing hallucinogenic properties that caused bizarre reactions in various species. But the latest data was a game changer. Dr. Vor's heart raced as she read through the results of her team's latest experiments. The atmosphere's hallucinogenic effects were secondary to a more profound property. It had the potential to enhance telepathic communication. Dr. Vor's mind whirred with implications. The ability to link minds across vast distances could revolutionize interspecies communication. Imagine the possibilities: peaceful negotiations, seamless collaboration, or, in darker hands, unparalleled control and manipulation. She knew that such a discovery could either unite the galaxy or lead to its destruction. Keeping this information secure was paramount, but she couldn't ignore the growing sense of dread as she prepared to present her findings. Supreme Commander Kale of the Saren Dominion had always been known for his ruthless ambition. The Sarens were a militaristic race, and Kale's reputation was built on seizing opportunities and expanding his empire. When a rumor of a powerful new asset reached him, an asset that could enhance telepathic abilities, Kale's interest peaked. His advisors were buzzing with excitement, but Kale's expression remained cold and calculating. In the dimly lit command chamber of the Saren flagship, Kale convened a meeting with his top generals. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. He paced before a large holographic display, which flickered with images of Earth and its atmosphere. This discovery, the ability to link minds through their atmosphere, represents an unprecedented advantage, Kale announced. His voice was firm, imbued with a cold resolve. The Elysian Consortium's research could be the key to consolidating our power and controlling the galaxy. General Rax, one of Kale's most trusted officers, nodded in agreement. We should act quickly. If the atmosphere's telepathic enhancement becomes widely known, other factions might seek to control it or undermine our plans. Kale's eyes narrowed as he assessed his generals. Prepare our forces. We will secure the atmosphere by any means necessary. We cannot afford to let this opportunity slip through our grasp. The Saren Dominion's fleet began mobilizing. Kale's orders were clear: take control of Earth's atmosphere and eliminate any resistance. The Dominion's ships, sleek and menacing, readied for deployment. Their mission was not just a military campaign, but a strategic maneuver to dominate the galaxy. Back at the Elysian Research Facility, Dr. Vor and her team faced escalating pressure. Their once peaceful research had become a battleground. The Saren Dominion's aggressive stance had transformed their lab from a place of scientific inquiry into a critical strategic asset. Dr. Vor huddled in a secure meeting room with her closest allies, Elias, a diplomat known for his deft negotiations, and Serena, an engineer whose expertise with alien technology was unparalleled. Their faces were etched with concern as they discussed their next steps. We have to protect this discovery, Dr. Vor said urgently. Her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed her anxiety. The Dominion's plans to seize the atmosphere could have catastrophic consequences. We need to find a way to keep it out of their hands. Elias nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. We should engage with the Galactic Council. They have the resources and authority to help us address this crisis. Serena, her eyes scanning the readouts of the Dominion's movements, added, We also need to fortify our defenses. The Dominion won't hesitate to attack us if it means gaining control of the atmosphere. Dr. Vor's team worked around the clock, reinforcing their security and seeking diplomatic assistance. The once secure research facility had become a target, and the stakes were higher than ever. The Elysian Consortium was now at the heart of a galactic power struggle. As the Saren Dominion's threat grew, the Galactic Council convened in emergency sessions. The Council had been working to mediate conflicts and maintain peace among the galaxy's diverse factions. However, the new discovery had thrown their efforts into disarray. Ambassador Daniel Reyes, representing Earth, found himself in the midst of the council's turmoil. He stood before the assembly, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on him. The council members, a mix of representatives from various factions, were engaged in heated discussions. "We need to address this issue immediately," Ryzaen said, his voice carrying the strain of his responsibility. "The Saren Dominion's aggressive actions are jeopardizing not only Earth, but the stability of the entire galaxy." President Lyra, a seasoned leader with a reputation for diplomacy, looked troubled. She was known for her measured approach, but the urgency of the situation left little room for calm deliberation. "This discovery could either unify us or drive us further apart," Lyra said, her tone reflecting the gravity of the situation. "We must ensure that it does not lead to widespread conflict. We need a solution that prevents any single faction from gaining unchecked power." The Galactic Council's attempts to mediate were met with resistance from various factions, each with its own interests. The complexity of the situation only deepened as the Saren Dominion's aggression and the black market's opportunism intensified. As the conflict escalated, the black market emerged as a significant player. Thaler, a notorious smuggler, saw an opportunity in the chaos. His network had long been involved in the illicit trade of Earth's atmosphere, and the new revelation only fueled his operations. In a hidden space station deep in the shadows of a remote sector, Thaler met with Nara, the ruthless leader of the Ryzaen Syndicate. Their meeting was held in a dimly lit room, the atmosphere thick with smoke and intrigue. "The Saren Dominion's push for control has created a vacuum," Thaler said, his voice smooth and calculated. "We need to take advantage of this situation. The demand for the atmosphere will only rise, and we can position ourselves as the key suppliers." Nara, her eyes gleaming with ambition, leaned forward. "We should expand our operations and tighten our grip on the market. If we control the flow of information and resources, we can manipulate the outcome to our advantage." The black market's activities became more brazen as the conflict escalated. Thaler and Nara's schemes exacerbated the chaos, as different factions fought not only for control of the atmosphere, but also for a share of the illicit trade profits. The escalation of conflict. With the Saren Dominion's forces moving aggressively and the black market capitalizing on the chaos, the situation reached a boiling point. Earth's defenses, under the leadership of General Marcus Wells, faced a relentless onslaught. The Dominion's fleet, formidable and imposing, engaged Earth's forces in fierce battles both in the atmosphere and in space. General Wells coordinated a strategic defense, deploying troops and resources to protect key locations and research facilities. The battles were intense, with skirmishes erupting across the globe and in orbit. Meanwhile, the Elysian Consortium, led by Dr. Vor, found themselves in a desperate struggle. Their efforts to protect their research and seek diplomatic support were hindered by the Saren Dominion's aggressive tactics. The Consortium's facilities were under constant threat, and Dr. Vor's team fought to safeguard their findings and prevent the atmosphere from falling into the wrong hands. The Galactic Council's attempts to mediate the conflict were increasingly futile. The Council's members, each with their own agendas, struggled to find common ground. The revelation of the atmosphere's telepathic properties had shifted the focus from diplomacy to a struggle for control. As the different fronts converged, the galaxy braced itself for a dramatic showdown. The fight for Earth's atmosphere had become a central conflict, with factions clashing in a battle that would determine the future of the galaxy. In the boundless void of space, the Skarn Coalition, a formidable alliance of predatory alien species, was preparing for a mission unlike any other. The Coalition's flagship, the Nemesis, cut a dark silhouette against the backdrop of distant stars, its sleek hull bristling with weaponry. Supreme Chancellor Varen stood on the command deck, his gaze locked on the holographic projection of Earth, which now seemed tantalizingly close. "The reports on Earth's atmosphere are conclusive," Varen declared, his voice echoing with authority. "It's not just a curiosity, it's a potent substance that can enhance telepathic abilities and induce powerful hallucinations. This planet's atmospheric composition could tip the balance of power in our favor." General Thrax, the Coalition's shrewdest tactician, stepped forward. "We've intercepted communications from the Elysian Consortium, indicating they're aware of the threat. We must act quickly to secure Earth before other factions intervene." The Skarn fleet, composed of sleek warships and heavily armed cruisers, began its approach. The ships moved with menacing precision, their engines roaring as they entered the outer reaches of Earth's solar system. Varen's eyes narrowed. "Initiate the advance. Prepare for immediate engagement. We will take this planet and its atmosphere by force." On Earth, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. President Sarah Jameson, surrounded by her top military and scientific advisors, stared at the massive digital displays showing the approaching Skarn fleet. The command center was abuzz with activity, a stark contrast to the serene view of Earth outside the reinforced windows. "General Wells, Dr. Vor, Elias, we have less than 24 hours, President Jameson said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We need to prepare our defenses and exploit the atmosphere's properties to their fullest potential." General Marcus Wells, his face grim and determined, nodded. "We've deployed all available defenses, including satellite arrays and fighter squadrons. The atmosphere will be our key asset. We'll use decoys and atmospheric traps to lure the Skarn fleet into the danger zone." Dr. Ileana Vor, her brow furrowed as she analyzed data, spoke up. "We need to ensure that our decoys mimic the atmosphere's effects precisely. The Skarn's addiction will be our advantage. If we can draw them into the atmosphere, their hallucinations will turn their own fleet against them." Elias, ever the diplomat, added, "We should also be prepared for diplomatic fallout. If we can delay or deter the Skarn, we might have a chance to negotiate with other galactic factions to secure Earth's position." As Earth's defenses braced for the imminent attack, the skies above were set to become a battlefield. The Skarn fleet entered Earth's atmosphere with a thunderous roar. The sleek, silver ships of the Coalition, lined with powerful energy cannons and missile launchers, approached the planet with intimidating speed. The Nemesis led the charge, its engines blazing as it pierced through the outer layers of the atmosphere. "Engage the decoys," General Wells ordered. The decoys, designed to mimic Earth's atmospheric effects, were deployed across the orbital perimeter. They emitted false signals and visual distortions, creating a chaotic and misleading representation of Earth's atmosphere. As the Skarn ships followed the decoys, the atmosphere's true nature began to take effect. The first wave of Skarn vessels entered the trap, their sensors and navigation systems immediately starting to malfunction. The crew inside each ship was overwhelmed by hallucinations. They saw fantastical images, alien landscapes, monstrous entities, and shifting realities. "Prepare for battle." Varen's voice was laced with frustration as his control console displayed erratic readings. The Nemesis shuddered under the strain as hallucinations began to affect its crew. The once precise commands turned into disjointed gibberish, and the crew scrambled to regain control. The initial Skarn ships, now heavily disoriented, began to crash into one another. Explosions rippled through the fleet as vessels collided in mid-air, their once lethal weapons firing wildly and indiscriminately. As the chaos unfolded, Earth's defenders sprang into action. Fighter squadrons launched from orbital platforms, their sleek craft darting through the stratosphere to engage the disoriented Skarn ships. The fighters' energy weapons streaked through the air, targeting the vulnerable Skarn vessels. The Sentinel, one of Earth's most advanced fighter craft, piloted by Captain Alex Rhodes, maneuvered through the tumultuous sky. Rhodes and his team engaged a squadron of Skarn fighters, their blasters carving through the darkened space. "Target their engines," Captain Rhodes commanded, his voice calm despite the chaos. "We need to disable their ships before they regain control." Below, on the ground, the human forces were prepared for the worst. Anti-aircraft guns roared to life, their rapid-fire cannons streaking into the sky, targeting the alien vessels. The ground troops, equipped with advanced energy shields and weapons, defended key strategic locations against the sporadic attacks from the remaining Skarn ships. The scene was one of breathtaking intensity. Explosions lit up the sky, and the atmosphere was filled with the sounds of war, blaster fire, energy bursts, and the deep, resonant booms of spacecraft colliding. Earth's defenses were holding strong, but the battle was far from over. As the battle continued, the Skarn coalition's situation deteriorated rapidly. The hallucinations caused by Earth's atmosphere spread like wildfire among the fleet. Ships that had managed to regroup began to falter as their pilots struggled to maintain focus. General Thrax, aboard the Nemesis, fought to issue commands through the haze of his own hallucinations. The ship's advanced control systems flickered and glitched as Thrax's crew struggled to navigate through the distorted reality. "Re-establish formation," Thrax shouted, but the words were barely coherent. The once powerful coalition fleet was now in disarray, its ships spiraling out of control and firing erratically. Some ships, unable to cope with the psychological strain, began to self-destruct, their explosions adding to the chaos. On Earth, General Wells and his team watched the unfolding disaster with a mixture of relief and grim satisfaction. "Their fleet is falling apart," Wells observed. "We've pushed them to their breaking point. Continue the assault and secure our victory." Dr. Vore, monitoring the atmospheric effects, confirmed, "The atmosphere's influence is proving even more potent than we anticipated. The Skarn are collapsing under the strain." As the Skarn fleet's defenses crumbled, Earth's forces pressed their advantage. The remaining Skarn ships were swiftly overwhelmed by coordinated attacks from human fighters and ground forces. The once feared invaders were now reduced to scattered remnants, struggling to escape the planet's atmosphere. Captain Rhodes and his squadron continued their relentless pursuit, disabling the last of the enemy fighters and ensuring that no Skarn ship could regroup. The battle over Earth was reaching its climax. In the command center, President Jameson watched the final stages of the battle with a sense of cautious relief. The Skarn coalition's attempt to claim Earth had been thwarted, but the victory had come at a great cost. The skies cleared as the last of the Skarn ships retreated, their once proud fleet reduced to a scattering of damaged vessels. The atmosphere, though still potent, had served its purpose in defending the planet. The aftermath of the battle was a testament to humanity's resilience and strategic ingenuity. Earth had faced an overwhelming threat and emerged victorious, but the galaxy remained a volatile place, and the discovery of Earth's atmosphere had set the stage for future conflicts and challenges. The victory was bittersweet, a reminder of the delicate balance between power and vulnerability. As Earth looked to rebuild and prepare for the future, the battle for the atmosphere had reshaped the galactic landscape, leaving an indelible mark on the stars. The battle-scarred sky above Earth, once ablaze with fierce interstellar combat, now lay silent and still. The air was filled with the scattered debris of what had been a tumultuous conflict. The Sentinel, piloted by Captain Alex Rhodes, moved through the smoky haze as he guided his ship back to the secured airspace. The cockpit's dim lights cast a somber glow on his face, showing a blend of exhaustion and relief. "Home stretch," he muttered, his voice barely audible over the ship's ambient noise. His eyes were fixed on the radar, searching for any remaining threats. His squadron, though battered and bruised, followed closely behind. Their engines hummed steadily as they regrouped, their pilots' faces mirroring Alex's relief. On the ground, the command center buzzed with activity. General Marcus Wells and Dr. Ileana Vore were coordinating the aftermath. Wells, his uniform scorched and covered in grime, was reviewing the final battle reports. His face was a portrait of exhaustion and satisfaction. "We did it," Wells declared, his voice carrying a mix of pride and fatigue. "The Skarn are retreating. We managed to repel them." Dr. Vore, her face dim by the flickering screens, looked over at Wells. "Yes, but we must address the aftermath. The galaxy is watching, and Earth's place in it is about to change dramatically." The command center was alive with activity as technicians and soldiers worked to assess damage and secure the perimeter. The once intense battle had left a significant mark on the planet, but the immediate threat was over. The focus now shifted to what came next. In the grand hall of the United Nations Assembly, an air of tension and anticipation filled the space. The hall was a hive of activity as representatives from Earth's diverse nations and alien dignitaries gathered for an emergency session. Holographic displays and communication devices buzzed with information, and the murmur of voices created a backdrop of anticipation. President Sarah Jameson took the podium, her expression a blend of determination and solemnity. "Fellow leaders, representatives, and esteemed guests," she began, her voice resonant and commanding. "We have defended our planet against a formidable threat and emerged victorious. Today marks not only a triumph of defense, but a turning point in our place in the galaxy. We must now navigate this new era with both wisdom and caution." The assembly room was abuzz with murmurs of agreement and skepticism. Alien delegates exchanged curious glances and whispered among themselves. The atmosphere was charged with a mixture of excitement and apprehension as the representatives awaited further details. Ambassador Daniel Reyes took the stage next. His demeanor was calm yet authoritative, reflecting his role in shaping Earth's future in galactic diplomacy. "The defeat of the Skarn Coalition has sent a powerful message," he declared. "Earth is no longer a fringe planet, but a key player in galactic affairs. Our diplomatic strategy will involve forming new alliances while maintaining a vigilant stance against any potential threats." As Reyes spoke, Maria Xavier approached the podium, her eyes alight with enthusiasm. She presented her plan for the Galactic Experience Center, her voice filled with conviction. "We have the opportunity to transform Earth's atmosphere into a controlled experience center," she explained. "This facility will regulate access to our atmosphere and foster peaceful interactions. It will serve as a tool for diplomacy and a symbol of our newfound status." The proposal was met with mixed reactions. Some delegates were intrigued by the potential benefits, while others remained wary of Earth's newfound power. The discussions continued, with tensions rising as various factions presented their viewpoints. Elias, now a key diplomat, engaged in a private conversation with General Wells and Dr. Vore. "We've won the battle," Elias said, "but the real challenge lies ahead. We must balance our newfound power with the need to avoid further conflicts. The galaxy is a complex and volatile place." Wells nodded, his gaze steady. "We've shown our capability, but we need to focus on securing our position and preparing for any unexpected developments." As Earth's role in the galactic community solidified, the atmosphere's allure became a focal point of both admiration and contention. The Galactic Experience Center, with its state-of-the-art facilities, drew visitors from across the galaxy. The center was designed to offer a controlled experience of Earth's atmosphere, providing insights into its unique properties without exposing visitors to its more dangerous effects. Captain Alex Rhodes was now leading an elite squadron tasked with defending Earth and managing its interactions with the galaxy. The squadron, known for its exceptional skills and bravery, operated with a heightened sense of purpose. Alex addressed his team with determination. "We've opened a new chapter," he said. "Our role is not only to protect Earth, but to ensure our place in this new galactic community." Dr. Ileana Vore, deeply involved in managing the Galactic Experience Center, ensured that the facility operated smoothly and safely. She worked closely with her team to monitor and control the atmosphere's effects on visitors. "Our goal is to create a controlled environment that fosters positive interactions while protecting our planet's interests," she explained. The arrival of new alien factions added a layer of complexity to Earth's diplomatic efforts. Ambassador Reyes and President Jameson held numerous meetings with representatives from these factions, trying to navigate their diverse agendas and interests. "We need to be prepared for a range of outcomes," Reyes said during a briefing with President Jameson. "These factions will have their own objectives, and we must carefully consider their demands and intentions." Meanwhile, tensions were rising as some factions sought to exploit the atmosphere for their own gain. General Marcus Wells and his team worked tirelessly to strengthen Earth's defenses and prepare for potential conflicts. "We've proven our strength," Wells said, "but we can't afford to be complacent. The galaxy is a volatile place, and we must be prepared for any future threats. As Earth began to integrate into the galactic community, the Galactic Experience Center became a focal point of activity. Visitors from various alien species marveled at the atmosphere's effects, but the need for regulation and security remained paramount. Maria Xavier oversaw the center's operations, ensuring that the experience remained controlled and beneficial. "The center is a testament to our progress," she said, her gaze sweeping over the bustling facility. "But it also highlights the responsibility we now bear. We must navigate this new era with care, balancing our influence with the need for diplomacy." Captain Alex Rhodes and his squadron remained on high alert, ready to respond to any threats or conflicts that might arise. Their new role was both challenging and rewarding, as they defended Earth's interests while exploring the broader implications of their newfound status. "Our mission is clear," Alex said to his team. "We must protect Earth and ensure that our position in the galaxy is both secure and respected." President Sarah Jameson and Dr. Vore stood together on the balcony of the Galactic Experience Center, overlooking the vibrant scene below. "We've achieved a significant milestone," Vore said, her voice reflecting the weight of their accomplishment. "But the management of such a potent resource will be a constant challenge." Jameson nodded, her gaze steady as she considered the future. "We have a unique opportunity to shape our place in the galaxy. But with that power comes great responsibility. We must remain vigilant and strategic in our approach." The story transitions to a sweeping view of Earth from space, the blue planet glowing softly against the vast backdrop of the cosmos. The final narration captures the essence of the story's conclusion. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, Earth had made an indelible mark. The atmosphere, once a hidden secret, had become a symbol of both opportunity and caution. As humanity stepped into its new role among the stars, it faced the dual challenge of wielding its newfound power wisely while navigating the intricate web of galactic politics. The future was uncertain, but the journey ahead promised both extraordinary discoveries and formidable trials. The closing scene focuses on the Galactic Experience Center, bustling with activity as alien and human visitors interact and explore. The center stands as a beacon of Earth's new prominence, a testament to its role in the galactic community. As the camera pans out, the final lines hint at the complexities and responsibilities that lie ahead. The story closes with a sense of hope and forewarning, leaving readers with a view of Earth's bright future while acknowledging the ongoing challenges of managing such a powerful resource.